Good evening. You're listening to 102.7 Chop FM, and this is Arts Talk. I'm your host, Taylor Cos. We are missing my co-host, the sweet Dave Peters. He's busy working today, so it's just me and my good friend Cody Shaw.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good so far.
Awesome.
So far, so good. Thanks for having me here.
Of course. All right, let's just get this situated here. As our dedicated listeners know, I don't do many shows by myself.
You're doing great.
I'm a little nervous here. Okay, how am I doing? I'm doing okay?
We're all rooting for you.
Oh, good. Okay, so let's talk about ArtsTalk. ArtsTalk is a show that is dedicated to seeking out and talking to the artists of Newmarket and surrounding areas. And if you yourself are an artist and you'd like to come on the show, there's a couple ways you can contact us. You can email us at newmarketartscouncil@gmail.com, or you can look up ArtsTalk Radio on Facebook and send us a message there. All right, so we've got our guest, Cody Shaw of Tribes of the Moon, today.
Yes. Here I am.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me again.
Of course. I had the pleasure of playing bass with Cody on Wednesday, September 14th at the supermarket.
Yes.
Which
awesome
was
show.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Considering how it was thrown together, like the two rehearsals prior to the show, going from that to what we did up on stage there, it went better than I could have expected.
Oh, it's crazy.
For sure.
Let's give the listeners a little bit of the background of Tribes of the Moon. So it was a recording project originally?
Yeah, well, basically how it started was Swallowed by the Earth had ended. Swallowed by the Earth was a band that I was in with Jim and Vince from Synthetic in late 2013. Things were picking up pretty well with them. They were getting pretty busy.
You had Jason, too, from Qualia, right?
Jason
He's
as well.
He's
an amazing bass player. But basically, their plates were filling up. Their band was doing really well. And we all thought that Swallowed by the Earth was special enough that rather than have it turn into a situation where we were combating schedules and people were starting to resent each other, that we pulled the plug on it early before it got to a place. We all liked the music, but it was... we could see the tensions rising, and rather than have Swallowed by the Earth turn into something that was a negative experience, we wanted to end on a high note. So we did the last show, and we didn't really talk about the end of the band, but the band ended, and then those guys were busy doing Synthetic, and I was kind of scratching my head trying to think of what I was going to do next. So I wasn't a stranger to home recording, doing solo stuff. I had done stuff under the banner of Sonic Supremacy for the better part of like 4 years prior to that.
That was like a company or a business that you, or like a project that you
It was
created?
just it was the first solo thing that I had done, and that's what it was called. And it was cool too. It got me into other gigs with other bands. Having solo material and posting on the internet is like the best business card you can have possible.
Yeah.
So anyways, Swallowed by the Earth was over, and I was scratching my head, and I was like, what am I going to do? And so I just continued writing songs, and originally the song started out more like the continuation of Swallowed by the Earth. Like most of the stuff I was writing sounded like that.
And that's a bit like, it's not as heavy as Tribes of the Moon, right?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Jim was singing.
Jim,
was he singing?
Yeah, Jim was doing primarily singing. He did some of the metal vocals, but it was primarily like
cool,
more of a rock thing.
Yeah, it was awesome. I remember.
Yeah. We had you come out and play that last show with us, which was excellent.
Was that the last show?
That was the last one.
Yeah, that was fun. That was super. That was funny because it was just me on piano, and it was like, who played before?
On the Verge.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Yeah.
On the Verge played.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and Mark was playing drums with them at the time.
So heavy, and then it's like tinkle tinkle on the piano.
You know what though? Those kind of shows are the shows that I miss the most. Those are the shows. The mixed genre shows were something of. I feel like they were more something of the past. You see a lot of package stuff going on now, where it's like they always put metal bands together, they always put punk bands together, and I miss the diversity of the shows. So when we made that show, we did that on purpose. We didn't want to pick other metal bands or whatever. But
cool, yeah.
But so I'd started up recording songs that basically sounded like Swallowed by the Earth Part 2, and wanted to come up with a different name to separate it from things and just start fresh. And slowly but surely, things started getting heavier and heavier again, because that's my background, is playing in metal bands, and Swallowed by the Earth was actually stepping way out of my comfort zone for me.
Sounds like it.
So naturally, with that ending, I just ended up slingshotting back to what I'm known for, I guess.
Yeah, but passionate about too, right? Like
for sure.
For
sure.
Naturally to you.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
Yeah. So I've been writing songs for Tribes of the Moon for about, I don't know, a better part of a year and a half, 2 years now. Jim was still very, very busy in synthetic up until recently, about the midsummer point, I guess. There was a situation with them, I guess, where, you know, push came to shove and the band split. And, you know, for whatever the reasons may be with them, you know, we don't need to go over any of that stuff. But
it's unfortunate, but it happens.
Oh, I was more disappointed than anybody.
Man,
I've watched
I couldn't believe it.
I've watched them play since
I bet,
a long time ago.
Did you know synthetic before Jim started?
Oh, yeah.
See, yeah, like I didn't even know synthetic before Jim.
Yeah, I played shows with them when I was still in a band called Mr. Evil back in like 2009, 2010.
Wow,
and they didn't have a singer there. They were all splitting up vocal duties then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was total. I watched them grow and I saw them turn into this big thing. But, you know, long story short, they, you know, push came to shove. The band was over.
Yes.
And I was actually kind of really afraid to ask Jim to be, you know, join another project again.
Yeah.
I didn't know if the wound was still too fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
But he had already been recording songs with me at that point. And I just started thinking, I'm like, well, instead of having, you know, Tribes of the Moon featuring Jim McAvoy, Tribes of the Moon featuring Jim McAvoy on every single song, I was like, well, why don't, now that his schedule is cleared up, why don't I just bring him into the fold and make him a member of this thing? And we'll just do that as a two-man band going forward. Totally. So that's pretty much where we are now.
And you guys work really well together, right? How long have you guys been playing music together?
Oh my, I think our first show was in 2001.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
15 years. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, our first band, we started coming out of grade 9, going into grade 10.
Wow.
Played our first show together, and we played our most recent show together. So a lot of history there. Yeah, he's a brother for sure. He was like best man at my wedding, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so good playing with people like that. I find my friend, well, you met her, Laura. We have played music, not even for that long, probably about 5 years, but it's that mesh you have. It's like musical soulmate, like your musical best friend. You get it. And
absolutely.
Oh, it's such a blessing when you find people like that.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Cool. Do you want to listen to some of your old tracks with Mr. Jim McAvoy?
Yeah, absolutely. I brought in a track. Me and Jim have always recorded music together, and this is actually pre-Swallowed by the Earth. We made a song. We were actually really on this big thrash metal kick for a while. Cool. So we were writing.
Okay, hold on. Sorry, I just have to interrupt because metal's got like 20,000 different genres. So what bands are thrash metal? What could you compare thrash metal to?
Oh man,
for my sake and some listeners.
Thrash metal was obviously known for being like an 80s genre. Basically, what it was is just bands playing faster, essentially.
Okay.
So it was.
Was the double kick always a metal thing, or did thrash kind of like bring that up?
Well, thrash definitely honed it and refined it. It came before that, you know, Motorhead with the double kicks. They really started that, but thrash really took that and sort of molded it and made it more of a staple in metal. So thrash is like the Metallicas, the Slayers, the Anthraxes, the Megadeths, you know, the big four, as they say.
Okay.
But yeah, so we were really on a thrash kick, and so we were writing thrash songs.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to know.
Yeah, no problem. So this one's called Homemade Bomb, and I believe we did this one back in 2011.
Awesome. Here's Homemade Bomb. Cody and Jim on ArtsTalk.
Homemade bomb, ready to it.
Homemade Bomb by Cody Shaw and Jim McAvoy. Did you guys have a band name?
At the time, we were working under a title called Fever God.
Fever God.
Yeah, we ripped it from Dazed and Confused because they had a band. I can't remember.
Almost Famous?
Almost Famous, yeah. That's
Fever Dog.
Yes. Yeah, so we're like, we'll just twist that a bit and make it metal sounding.
What was the band name? Was it Fever Dog in Almost Famous, or was it something else?
It was either the band name or the name of their big song.
It was the song.
Yeah.
I don't remember what
but
the
that's
band
where
name.
It came from, so we just literally
Stillwater,
twisted it. Yes, Stillwater, that's it. Good memory, yeah.
Oh my God,
awesome.
that's a classic movie.
Yeah.
We were talking on the break, and you mentioned that was Jim wailing on the guitar at the end.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Jim's a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Plays guitar, plays piano, sings all the time, and when I get stuck, I'm more of a intricate rhythm player.
Yeah.
Solos aren't really my thing, although I'll do them, you know. But that one, I just handed the reins off to him. My brain was on meltdown mode, and I'm like, we need a solo, like, just go for it, man. Yeah. And that's what he came back with, and I was like, holy crap.
No, it's,
you know?
Yeah, that's pretty epic.
Yeah.
It's funny you call yourself a rhythm player, but an intricate rhythm player. That's a good way to put it, because I would never... I think of you as being a lead guitar player, like when we were playing in Tribes last week.
Yeah.
I thought you were playing the leads more. Were you playing the leads?
I was, but it was almost like I recorded all the leads when we did the songs.
Sorry, school's out.
Yeah, school's out. I recorded all the leads when I was writing and recording the songs, obviously, but. For live purposes, I always wanted to just stick to the rhythms. Cool. The most I do with leads is like single string stuff with lots of delay, and I'll just bend it so it sounds crazy, you know. Cool. And that's like my cheat that I use to do it, and it's, you know, it worked because it became part of my style.
Yeah.
So still not much of a lead player, but I get away with it. I bend the rule book a little bit. So
I guess for metal too, like rhythm guitar is a lot more intricate than, am I saying that right? Intricate.
Yeah.
Than like alternative rock or whatever. Like, I mean, just going from chord to chord to chord, you are playing like da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na-na. Like that's like that's pretty good.
They're like mini leads, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny because that's the thing. When I was in school, we were talking about this thing called the Nashville number chart, and it's basically like writing out your chords in a certain key. And I was like, well, how am I going to do that? Because I don't play chords per se. I play power chords.
Does that mean like if you're in the key of A, you play the 1, 4, and 5, that sort of thing?
Precisely.
Okay,
yeah. So
how would you do that? Did you?
You can't. No, I know. I ended up not being able to partake.
It'd be like a really country version of your song, like just.
Yeah. Oh man.
I can't even do it.
When that was the assignment they gave to me, I just shook my head. I'm like, if you can figure out a way how to put this in Nashville number chart, I would love to see it, and please show me how to do it, because I can't figure it out. You know.
Sorry, I forgot to turn that off. We had a little bit of background noise.
Yeah.
So
it's all good. Live show.
Yeah, we are live. We are live with ArtsTalk in Pickering College, Chop FM. So so you and Jim, you got another song coming up here. It's a cover.
Yeah.
Black Flag.
Yeah, Black Flag. Always been a fan of some of the more, I guess, hardcore punk rock.
They are hardcore.
I'm not a big punk rock, like oi oi punk guy. There's nothing wrong with it.
Nope.
Just was never my bag. But when people started showing me things like Black Flag and the Cro-Mags and Minor Threat and things like that.
Some like the Germs, or is that like too?
No. Well, they could be. I'm not familiar with the Germs, but
they're not as heavy as Black Flag. But that's like my punk scene.
Yeah, no, and
kind of like you too.
Well, it's just like metal, right? There's so many subgenres even within punk. But I found the one that I gravitated to the most was probably the one that had the most in common with metal, obviously, which was like the New York hardcore scene.
Cool.
But yeah, we did this song. Actually, we recorded it kind of as a joke.
Really?
I was stuck for inspiration, and I was trying to write songs, and nothing was coming out. So I just started riffing the main riff to Depression from Black Flag to this faster click, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm stuck on doing my own original stuff, so I'm just going to pour some energy into this. So we did it. Had Jim come over. He had never even heard the song before, and then I played it for him and played him my version, and we worked on it together. And I actually used it to get into Seneca with.
Really?
Yeah, I put it on my demo CD.
Did you have to like do an audition for that course?
Yeah. Essentially, what happens is you have to submit a 3-song demo. I didn't know then that all 3 songs were supposed to be original.
Oh, and this is independent music production, right?
Yes,
At
independent.
Seneca.
Yes, sorry, we should have prefaced with that.
I
Seneca at York, they do this program called the Independent Music Production. It's 8 months. It's intense. They cover everything from recording music production to live sound to music theory. You work with people who are professional songwriters that fly down to Nashville and like sell music for a living. You work with entertainment lawyers.
Sounds amazing.
And you also deal with people who are like in management, and they teach you, about things like publishing and sending out proper media releases and things like that for when you want to do it. And basically they give you all the tools to be able to take what you've already got and just propel yourself that much further.
Yeah, so it's like you can have the creative side down pat and you're songwriting and you're passionate about playing music, but there's so much involved with the music industry and the business of playing music and trying to make money.
Yeah, unfortunately it's not enough to just be a good songwriter. You need to be clever now, you need to be clever and
especially with the internet, right?
Oh, especially now with the internet. Yeah, for sure. So
cool.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we're gonna
we're going to play this song.
All right.
What was your guys' band name? I don't remember.
Fever God.
Fever God.
Yeah,
oh, right. Okay.
It was still, well, I guess this was more coasting in the Tribes times.
Okay.
But, yeah,
Right,
it's us, and it's a cover of Black Flag's Depression.
All right.
Here is someone who stood up.
Right here, all by myself. I ain't got no one else. The situation is bleeding me. There's no relief for a person like me. Prison got a hold of me. Prison gotta break free. Prison got a hold of me. Prison gotta kill me. I ain't got no friends to call my own. I just sit here all alone. There's no girls that wanna touch me. I don't need your goddamn sympathy. Prison got a hold of me. Prison gotta break free. Prison got a hold of me. Prison gotta kill me. Everybody, just get away. I've got a boil over insanity. They tell me, son, things will get better. All I know is right back and better. Prison got a hold of me. Prison gotta break free. Prison got a hold of me. Prison gotta kill me.
Depression, Black Flag cover by Fever God.
Or AKA Tribes of the Moon,
I love that
AKA
name.
Jim and Cody, whatever you want to go by. Yeah.
So good. So Jim is the vocalist in Tribes of the Moon, permanent member, but you had a couple other people play with you
Yes.
in the live performance.
Yes.
So let's talk about them and how that came to be.
Sure, absolutely. Well, basically, at the end of the program, the Seneca program, we put out. You record your own song and you put it out on a compilation CD with the other students, and that's part of the grading system is to record your own song from the ground up, write your own song from the ground up, mix it from the ground up, all yourself.
Yeah,
the only thing that
all
they
that
actually
good stuff.
producing all that stuff, the only thing that they take away from you is the mastering. That still gets done somewhere else.
Cool.
Because
and did you get to pick that, or they picked it for you?
They picked it for us.
Cool.
And it was probably for the better because not many of us had much experience with mastering or anything like that. It's really a whole nother art form. Like
Cool.
it's you're just
Interesting.
dealing with frequencies and low end and bottom end and high end, and it's kind of similar to making your own song and mixing it and stuff, but it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and you need a really sharp set of ears to be able to do that. So
I don't really understand mastering at all. People are like,
it's
I'm going to get it mastered. It's going to sound so much better. I believe you, but I just
Yeah.
have no idea why or how. But
Yeah.
that gives me a little more insight on that.
yeah. So basically, the song gets released on the compilation, this Seneca IMP 31 compilation, and at the end of that, they want to do a CD release because we have an album. There's printed copies. It's for real now.
It looks really cool too. I thought it looked very professional.
Yeah, I thought
You even
it,
had a booklet.
I never saw it. I just saw JPEGs of like what the album art was going to be. I had no idea how it was actually going to look in the layout or anything like that. But basically, the CD came out, and then they were like, all right, we're going to do a CD release show. And this is going to be after you finish the program, all that stuff. So you're not going to get graded on it. You just have to show up and rock out.
Nice.
And it all sounded great until it clued in on me that, wait a second, we're a two-man band, and there's drums and bass and other guitars and stuff. How we're going to
And
do
there was
this?
keyboards, and you had a
Keyboards,
lot in those songs.
Keyboards.
Which sound great.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm still not. It's weird to hear people talk about it because it's been me and Jim's thing for so long. Like our little
Like a
secret,
private, like,
our
no
little
one really
secret band that
knows.
we could like carry around in our back
Yeah.
pocket.
Yeah.
So for it to be like out in the open now, it's still blowing my mind. I have to like check myself. I'm like, wait, you know about it? Oh yeah,
Oh yeah. And doing really well too, right? Like, you guys are
so
doing
far,
awesome.
yeah. The response has been great so far.
Great.
More than I could have asked for. But so we're trying to figure out how we're going to do this, and we're running through ideas like, are we going to use a drum machine? Are we going to play to tape? Are we going to use a click? All this kind of stuff. And it just seemed like that would be a good option as a last resort. Not a terrible option. I mean, there was other guys who went up there and did that kind of thing that night.
Yeah, it
and
sounded
they were
good.
Yeah, and they were killer. But for me, I've always been a live band guy.
Totally. There's an energy missing when you're playing along to a backing track.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, you might
Yeah.
get the perfect tempo, and you might get all these other things that were pre-recorded.
It'll sound great to listen to, but to watch it, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, well, and that was the idea. So it was like, okay, let's get our thinking caps on here, and who can we get for this gig? And me and Jim came up with a big list of names, and we were like rifling through them. And
You had a big list of people?
as big as
This
of
is making
people,
me
yeah.
feel bad. I just guess,
Well, as big as we
picked
know.
through 30 different
Yeah.
musicians, and sorry.
Yeah. No, well, we just came up with a list of names from the contacts that we know,
Yeah.
and we had to cross about half of them right off the list, right off the bat, because we're like, oh, this guy doesn't play anymore, or this guy doesn't play.
That's a
such,
bummer, yeah.
that it happens, right? Not many people that we played a show with 15 years ago are still playing now.
Yeah.
Some of them are.
Well, it is
But-
a grind, right? So
Yeah.
eventually some people, yeah.
So we had to cross off a bunch of names, but ultimately we stopped at the name Mark Johnson, who
The Mad Slasher.
Mark the Mad Slasher Johnson, who was the original singer for a band called Life Blind, and then moved to drums in the band. And when he moved into drums in the band, they had asked me to come in and be the vocalist.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Can you share that story a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. Well, basically, I was on Main Street, and I was supposed to meet up with a girl for like kind of like a little tween date, like 13 whatever years old.
One of those young teenagers
Yeah.
on Main Street.
Yeah, and so we agreed to meet at this place called the Lava Lounge, which is obviously not there anymore. But we agreed to meet up there, and it was raining, and there was lightning, and all this stuff. And I was looking around, and she was nowhere to be seen. So I pretty much came to the conclusion I was ditched. Which, whatever. I mean, it's a big deal when you're 13,
Oh,
but now
man,
talking about it now,
heartbreaking, I bet.
Well, I just
let's finish the story too, because it might not be so heartbreaking.
Yeah, well, I just decided to go inside anyways, and just check out what was going on, because I had actually never been to a live show at that point. And the band that came on the stage was Life Blind, and it was heavy. It was in your face. It was brutal. It was scary, but at the same time, like the music was so heavy and there was the screaming and all that, and it actually scared me, but it was kind of like a horror movie where I couldn't look away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, like as like that age, and that's the first time it's kind of like you're witnessing some sort of chaos for the first time, but it's not chaos. It's just like musical. Like, oh my god, that's like different feelings. But I remember my first punk show and just being like, this exists.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
It was a rude awakening for
Yeah.
sure. I think the only thing different about my experience than probably anybody else's is that I was alone. I was literally in a room alone.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have anyone to bounce anything off of. I just absorbed everything like a sponge.
Good for you though to go and do that.
Yeah, well, I figured I'm there. I might as well go check it out.
Yeah.
And so, Lifeline played. Daryl, who was in BS 101.
We love Daryl. Hey, Daryl.
He was actually the drummer originally of the band.
Really?
Yeah, so
Too
it
funny.
was Mark on vocals, Daryl on drums, Alex Cardona on guitar, and this guy who went by the name Lo, just L-O, on
simple.
bass. And they played, and I'll never forget it because it was, like I said it to you already, it was raining and thundering and lightning, so there was this window in the back right behind where the band was playing. So as they were playing this crazy metal, there was this lightning going off in the background, and it was like movie perfect. You know what I mean? It was
totally.
crazy. So saw that, blew my mind, bought a CD, became an instant fan, stalked Daryl at the Arts, and it's like, man,
Was
tell
he
me
working
everything.
at the Arts
yeah,
then?
oh yeah,
Cool,
when the
nice.
Arts was still on Davis Drive.
Yeah,
and-
I remember that.
Yeah, and
That's where I got my Ibanez.
that's
It's
awesome.
That old, yeah.
Yeah. No, so I would go in there and be like, Daryl, tell me everything, next shows, and I followed the band around like crazy, and that made me want to start my own band, which I did with Jim.
At that time, when you like,
It was like a year
you
after
said
that.
grade 9, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it was
Cool.
like a year after that I started a band with Jim. We did a couple shows, played one with Lifeline,
Nice.
and by that time they had undergone this shift, and Daryl was now playing bass, Mark was now playing drums. They had a different guy up there singing, same guy on guitar, but I get a phone call about a week after we played a show with them, and I think it was Mark. I'm pretty sure it was Mark, and he was like, "Oh, we're having problems with this new singer that we've just brought in, and we were thinking about asking you to do it." And I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
That was like
dream come true.
man, yeah. I might as well have been asked, in my eyes, to be joining like Metallica or
Totally.
something.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it
know
was-
the feeling. I was like a kid. I'm sure. It's
yeah.
just like,
Oh yeah, and like I
Woo.
was like 15 by that point, or 14, 15, whatever it was. So I was really young, and like
It
these
is
guys
young.
were older than me, and it was just killer. It was such a cool experience. So I went out and had a jam with them. It was amazing. We played lots of shows around town at the Long Weekend, Spotlight Theater.
Cool.
I'm pretty sure we did some like house parties. We were gigging so much that at a certain point we just stopped rehearsing.
So this was at the time too when Newmarket's punk scene, metal scene was pretty alive too, right?
Huge.
Not really what we're seeing these days, but
Huge. There was the Punks Against Racism.
I went
there
to
was,
that
there,
once,
There was
the
all
last
of
one.
the Josh Gottlieb was like putting on shows left, right, and
So
center.
good, so
there was
good.
bands playing. It seemed like every week. It was just always constantly going on. There was a lot more live music venues in Newmarket at the time,
Yeah,
or or
definitely.
just places that were hip to the idea of bringing in bands and putting on shows. It seemed like there was a little more
punk
back
and metal
then.
shows too.
Yeah, they
It's
were
hard
not
to get
afraid. They were
some-
not. They were fearless. They didn't care, and it was great. It was a really good time. So,
Sounds like a good time.
oh yeah. So
All right, let's listen to some Lifeline.
Yeah.
I got to hear you guys jamming some a couple weeks ago, and it sounded pretty awesome. So,
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to this. This is Lifeline on ArtsTalk.
I
That was Lifeline on Arts Talk.
Lifeline, those among us.
Lifeline. We want Lifeline to come back. Daryl.
Yes, Daryl, hint.
Yeah, we want to see. I want to see Lifeline live again.
Yeah.
And that was Mark Johnson on vocals. Holy crap.
Yeah.
He's scary.
He is a monster drummer. He is a monster singer. The guy is
seriously.
He's walking metal.
He is. I know.
100%. 100% he is.
It's awesome.
Good guy too. I've known him, just as long as I've known Jim, probably, if not a little longer, maybe. I don't know. Probably it's right around the same time. And always been a stand-up dude.
Super nice guy.
Yeah, always.
Right.
For sure.
Cool. So that was one part of Tribes of the Moon. The next member would be Chris Driscoll.
Yeah. So we had Mark, and we brought him in as the drummer, and then we weren't actually sure what we were going to do about secondary guitars because we were having such a big issue getting somebody to commit. We asked probably about 4 or 5 people, and no one was saying yes. But I recently reconnected with my dear friend Chris Driscoll, who I used to play in a band with called Second Fuse from like 2004 to 2006. Went through a big period where we didn't talk, and then this year we just by chance bumped into each other grabbing coffees.
Nice.
And, that's all it took.
Some things are meant to be like that, right?
For sure. And we've said that to each other multiple times. We're like, man, what are the chances, And it turns out that he moved from Richmond Hill to Newmarket, and he's like literally a 5-minute drive up from where I live now. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, all the pieces just fell into play there. But we had reconnected over the past year and hanging out quite a bit. Summer's been nice, and they're big outdoorsy kind of people. So me and the wife will go over and hang out with them and just rekindle the relationship, the friendship. And a lot's changed for him. A lot's changed for me since then. It's better now than it ever was between me and him. And I was over there probably about a month and a half ago. And he goes, "Why didn't you ask me?" And I'm like, I don't know, man. He hasn't played in a band since Second Fuse, right?
Yeah. I didn't even know that until the day of the show, too.
Well, and he's a new father, and he's got his wife and things like that. And I just didn't want to overload him, and I didn't want Tribes to be something that I had to sell on people. When I put a status update on Facebook about, I'm looking for people to help me out. If you know any names or whatever, please send them my way. So it was kind of like I wanted to do the Inception thing, like just plant the seed and see who would come. But Chris, it was like a late night at his place, and he'd asked me, he's like, "Why didn't you ask me?" And I'm like, "Well, don't take any offense. I didn't know what the situation was." Through, a few speed bumps just in terms of details of like where his gear was and where, because he had to use my backup gear for the show. We worked it out, and basically he committed once we had all the gear lined up, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm ready to do this." So I sent him the songs. I sent him guitar tabs for the songs. Gave him my backup guitar, which is identical to my main guitar. I'm OCD
good like that though, right? Makes sense.
Well, if it goes down, then if you grab another one, it's going to have the same sound.
100%.
Same pickup, same scale length, all that same stuff, right? So having him use that was actually probably better for the experience, because then all the tones, all the frequencies, the guitars, everything was like lining up, right?
Yeah, that's good that way.
And I was bouncing between those guitars when recording. So it's what you're hearing on the recordings is what you're getting live, which is cool. So, I asked Driscoll, he asked me, and we made it work, and he came through. We learned all the parts. I think we spent one night together going over the riffs back and forth. And then it was like, he was like, "Okay, I'm good."
Nice. He was wicked. He was super impressive.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe he hadn't done a show in that long, because...
Oh, you'd never know.
I wouldn't have known.
You never know at all. So when I was in Second Fuse with him, he was the guitar player and I was the singer. It was a 4-piece. We had a drummer and a bass player. And just he came from the thrash, more of the thrash stuff. Like,
I think he was wearing a Metallica shirt.
Big Metallica, probably one of the biggest Metallica fans I've ever met in my life. But he comes from more of a thrash guitar mentality. So I was actually kind of worried that my playing style wouldn't really sync up, or like there might be issues with him sort of grasping onto my playing style, but there was none of that. He picked it up like perfectly. So
cool.
So
good job, Chris.
Amazing job, Chris.
let's time travel and listen to some Second Fuse and see what you guys started out like.
Yeah,
We've
awesome.
got Something More Sinister on Arts Talk. 102.7 Chop FM. Second Fuse on Arts Talk. We are with the Mr. Cody Shaw.
Yep.
The Cody Shaw.
That's right.
Of Tribes of the Moon.
Yep.
And you guys just released your first single on Friday last week?
Yep. Yeah.
Very cool.
First single came out on Friday. It was also printed on that independent music production compilation CD, but officially out under our own name without any strings attached on Friday. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's a super awesome song. I really like it. It's got a good mix of like, if I can say this before we preview it, I like how it's really heavy, but that there's a chorus that's got a lot of melodies, and you kind of, I don't know, I just really liked that. It's diverse. Is that the right word? Dynamic?
Yeah, that's a compliment to me, and I'll take it. You know, the big thing that I learned in Swallowed by the Earth is that melody has its place, but I did miss the heaviness of previous bands. Mm-hmm. So what it eventually turned into is I when I started writing heavier songs again, I was missing some of the melodies. So it was like, let's give this a little bit more peaks and valleys, tension and relief. Like, we'll have the heavier verse and then the lighter chorus, or vice versa. And that's actually something that's pretty well the mindset going forward for Tribes, is like there's going to be a good balance of both, because me and Jim are both big fans of way lighter stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I love post rock and like all these bands like This Will Destroy You and Mogwai and things.
Oh yeah,
like that.
do you like what is it? Godspeed You Black Emperor.
Love 'em.
So good.
Love
that's the
'em.
band I always post rock. I don't know a lot of bands, but
Yeah.
that's the one I think of.
Love that stuff.
Yeah.
So to be able to rope and then even weird progressive stuff like Porcupine Tree and all that stuff. So to weave all of that into a metal sort of thing and then encapsulate it and try and make it come out as something different, and it's also easier on the ears. Death metal's amazing. I love death metal, but at a certain point, I can only listen to so much. I need the peaks and the
Even
valleys.
for you, yeah, like as like a pure metal fan. I mean, I think like when you add that sort of thing to that type of music, you're reaching more people who aren't so into like metal, like constant metal.
Yep.
They can hear something, oh, I like that, and then
Yep.
you're kind of bringing them into the metal genre. And
100%.
yeah, it's awesome.
100%.
We forgot to say, and we're just gonna say quickly that I played bass.
Absolutely,
I
you
played
did.
bass.
Yeah, and you did an awesome job.
Woo!
Awesome job.
So that completes the puzzle of Tribes of the Moon
Yeah.
live.
Yes. Yeah, you did a phenomenal job.
Thanks,
The
man.
videos, you were rocking out. At the practices, you were rocking out. You learned the parts amazingly.
It was good times.
And it was having you in the fold was amazing. Having everybody, just the combination of personalities made that
thank
night
you.
what it was. So
I had so much fun with you
thank
guys.
you very much for coming
It
and
was
helping
awesome.
out. Yeah.
It was lots of fun. I would do it again.
Awesome.
All right, so let's listen to No Surrender on the radio.
Yeah,
First
absolutely.
time. Woo!
Yes. Yeah. So here's our first single, No Surrender.
Tribes of the Moon.
Yeah.
No Surrender by Tribes of the Moon on 102.7 Arts Talk.
Hey.
I am Taylor Cos, your host, and this is Cody Shaw of Tribes of the Moon, the mastermind behind it.
Yes, ma'am.
One half of the band.
One half. 50%, yes.
50%. Cool. So if people want to check out Tribes of the Moon, where can they do that?
Well, we've got a couple of the social media pages that are so necessary in this day and age.
They are so necessary.
We got a SoundCloud. That's www.soundcloud.com/Tribes of the Moon. We've got a Bandcamp. I'm not sure if this is the correct HTML. I don't know. Just go on Bandcamp and search Tribes of the Moon, and you'll find it. Or Tribes of the Moon, No Surrender. It'll come up right away. And then for Facebook, it's facebook.com/Tribes of the Moon Official.
Officially Tribes of the Moon.
That's right.
And you brought us some teaser material for your upcoming releases?
Yes. Yeah. We're actually in the process of figuring out what we're going to do with it. So there could be another single coming before the end of the year, or we might just save it and put it all out on an EP come spring. We're not quite sure, but I brought some teasers, some instrumental teasers of stuff that's coming up. Have
you released this online, these teasers, or is this like something special for the radio show?
One has been online for a little while, and one was literally. It's so fresh that I was tracking guitars to it like 2 days ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm excited. All right. So here's some teasers from Tribes of the Moon on Arts Talk. Very cool. I am digging that last track.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Cool. Yeah, it's got that creepy background.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's big time. That's where the Meshuggah influence comes out big time.
Cool. I never listened to them that much. Don't know them that
all
much.
The weird, bendy, broken sounding riffs with like creepy leads over top of it. They're amazing. Swedish math metal gent gods. Yeah.
Meshuggah.
Yeah.
Which is not who we're gonna listen to next. We're gonna have to say goodbye because it is approaching 7:00 and that is our time slot.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me on here today.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh,
honestly,
man.
It was a great
Thank
time.
you. It was honest to God my pleasure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're gonna go out with some influence.
Yes.
One of your influences, or one influence.
This is probably one of the most major influential bands to me. From New Orleans, Louisiana. Legendary doom, sludge, whatever you want to call it, band called Crowbar.
Cool.
And I picked a tune called To Build a Mountain.
Awesome. So we're going to listen to that next. Thanks for tuning into Arts Talk. I'm Taylor Cos again. We had Tribes of the Moon. Check them out on Facebook, SoundCloud, Bandcamp, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And tune in next Wednesday, 6:00 sharp. We've got Eddie Sayers coming on. He's I don't actually know where he's from. I think it's Toronto, but he's got some acoustic indie rock kind of stuff. It's awesome. So tune in next week.
Awesome.
And check out some Crowbar right now on ArtsTalk. Thanks, Cody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Takes a long, long time. Use what you learn.